Good morning. Hello. You've found yourselves on the shores of episode 70, No Lives Matter. And that is not what you might think it means. No Lives Matter is actually, we're going to take a look at that. But first, I'm going to wait for people to tell me that they actually can hear me. Because right now, everyone's typing no sound, but I'm pretty sure that you do have sound. Still says no sound, huh? Damn. Sound is grabbled. No sound, no sound. Good sound. Sound is good. No sound. I can't hear. The sound is horrible. The sound is great. Turning up the sound is really going to fuck shit up, guys. I will do it. But, man, all this is going to do is ruin the podcast. Because when you go up like this, it's just going to be this constant, and it's really annoying. I'm going to take it back to here. I need you guys to say that that's a good sound, okay? I need that to be the good sound. Sorry to start this. I hate starting off the shows like this with sound delays. But that was my fault. We're good, right? All right. I'm assuming everybody can hear me. Good. Great. Yeah, the chat is delayed. I get it. Welcome to episode 70, No Lives Matter. It's not what you think. We're going to take a look at that. It is Tuesday. Yesterday was Silver Day, right? The moon. And Tuesday, you think I would know this? Tuesday is something. It's going to take me too long to find this. I'm already wasting too much time in the trying to get everything started. Tuesday. Mars, iron. Today's the day of iron. And what a day it is. Guys, this week, there's a lot going on now. Friday, full moon. Friday, one of two eclipses. Today, according to Benjamin Balderson, it is a something about Venus. I can't remember what. Everyone all over the world is acting insane. Not everyone. You guys aren't. But you get it. The universe is conspiring. Is it conspiring to make you grow? Or is it conspiring to destroy you? There are many out there that thinks it's out there to destroy you. And as I've pointed out before, one of the biggest fallacies we fall into when we believe that is we have this idea that we are basically too smart and too clever for these guys to keep up with us. And is that the right one? Okay. Wow. No Lives Matter. Wow. Sorry. Hit the wrong button there. It took me a while. Man. Man, I don't even remember what it was. I just got so lost there. Let's get started, even though I keep trying to get started. Maybe this is one of those episodes where it's just going to be a big bumble. Hopefully not, though. Hopefully not. We have Peanuts, though, and this Blue Jay's been getting closer, and I'm hoping that we can catch him today. And so I want to make sure that that's high enough where I do not lose it again. All right. So let's get cracking. Here's a video from Talia showing that in LA they're dropping off rocks now inside of iron cages, and in a blockade-esque sort of way. And I want to remind everybody that Charlottesville went down the same way. They brought in barricades before they were protesters. Charlottesville had brought in barricades and created a gauntlet through the middle of town, right? You guys saw that video. for the coming cavalcade. And I think that's what Talia is showing you here, is that there's preparations are in effect. And because of our compartmentalization, we forget what's happening in other countries is happening in our country too. And I'm going to show that in a little bit, because it's kind of crazy how the exact same things are happening everywhere, but no one actually seems to catch it, right? No one actually seems to be putting two and two together. Not no one, but most people. Certainly not our leaders. Certainly not the general person on the street. These people are not putting these things together. Instead, we are responding. We're responding to the accusation of the day, right? I'd like to remind everybody that yesterday was the beginning of Sodomy Month, Gay Pride Month. And last year, every corporation joined in unison in turning their logo into a rainbow flag to push sodomy. Now, last year, a gentleman named, we'll call him Randy, set one of my books on fire because I pointed out that June is actually Sodomy Month, that it's not Pride Month, it's Sodomy Month. And I explained as delicately as I could the logistics of why it's actually Sodomy Month. That if you were going to elevate and escalate and have a parade for a certain group of people, it would be congruent to look at what all those people have in common. What is the common denominator among all these people that are having a parade that lasts the entire month long? I wrote an article about that called the Eugenics of LGBT. And that got one of my books burned, first of its kind, pretty proud of that. Got a photograph of it on Twitter. And I got removed from a show and from another library and cursed by many people that were aligning with the LGBT movement. And it happened again yesterday. One person made a comment that because I said it was Sodomy Month, that means that I am in fact a sodomist. And I found it interesting. And then he explained that he himself was a sodomist. And it shows you the inversion that happens when you find yourself accusing someone else of being who you are. Is an accent of showing, look how much I hate myself by projecting the hate into you. I don't think it's hateful to say the word sodomy. I don't think that the word sodomy is a slight or an insult against anyone. Sodomy is a physical act. It's in the dictionary. It doesn't say anything about it being two men either. Sodomy is the rubbing of genitals in a non-reproductive way. Typically, there is a up-down inversion happening where one person's up genitals are touching the other person's down genitals, but that's basically a general definition of what it is. And one thing I noticed with the LGBT, one thing I noticed with Gay Pride Month was really what it was an entire month dedicated to no one having reproductive sex. If you're a lesbian, if you're gay, if you're bisexual, if you're transsexual, all four of those have one thing in common. They are exercising their right, their desire, their proclivity to having sex that doesn't bear children. Now, some of you will argue, well, no, bi doesn't count, so clearly your entire theory is broken. And I tell you, yeah, well, go fuck yourself. That's kind of a stupid thing to get lost in, that one little minutia point. Because even that, how are you supposed to be bi and have a family where you're raising a child? How does that actually work? It's like, where's daddy? Oh, it's bi night. Daddy's out lancing. Because he's bisexual, honey, and we love him and we care about him. And that's why daddy is out behind the tractor supply lancing with his other club. That doesn't make any sense. And if you need to feel like I'm persecuting you from being gay, I think that it's just showing you that you feel like what you're doing deserves persecution. And I'm not in that business. Guys, if I could write down all the things that I've done to find satisfaction in my mind sexually from the moment I've developed into puberty until now, it would be a difficult list for some of you to hear. Some of you would hear some tales that would just be too uncomfortable. We'll just leave it at that. All right? All of us get freaky. Whether it be in the forest, on top of a Mexican restaurant, on solar panels, on the rest stop, right? The point is that each of us are going to have this buildup of tension, and we're going to find the perfect moment to release it, and we're going to choose sex as a method of releasing that. I have never ever complained about how you or me or anyone else wants to have or does not want to have sex. Honestly, I believe that no matter what you do to have sex, you are learning about yourself. If you're going to need shame to get off, you are learning about yourself. If you're going to need pain to get off, you are learning about yourself. If you're going to need to do something that comes with a cloud of persecution around it, so you have this trauma bond, and comes with this annual ceremony where a lot of G-strings are worn in public in front of kids, and cod pieces, right? Fluffy cod pieces. If that is your only way to get off, or if that's one way that you like to get off, if you were like John McAfee and your adrenals are so spent that you need someone to fist you while you cook breakfast, I am not here to judge that. And when I point out that this is Corporate Pride Month, if it offends you, you are offended by yourself. You were offended at yourself. You were offended at the spectacle that's around you. And all I've ever suggested with Corporate Pride Month has been this. How many people would be participating in sodomy today if there was not a Corporate Pride Month? How many people would be gay today if they were not being told that gays are persecuted and that everyone in this planet, in this country sucks unless you can come up with melanin or you can have sodomy? We've created this system where we're covering our mouths of our own volition and screaming about how someone took our voice away. And we are finding comfort inside the eddies of the propaganda that's trying to drown us all. And we reach new heights by climbing on top of others to show that we are the most persecuted. That is the land of America. That is Babylon. And I bring up Pride Month again because yesterday was Pride Month. Yesterday was the beginning of National Sodomy Month. And no one's celebrating. And that's the best apocalypse ever. It shows you where all the energy's coming from. It shows you that there's not enough calories for us to push the masks, the civil unrest, the economic collapse, and sodomy. It's just too much for this script. And when you're writing the script for the day, something's got to be on hold for a while. And Sodomy Month is on hold. And I've been telling you guys it's the best apocalypse ever. And I hope that you can see that that is not a bad sign. And if you were gay and you were listening to me, you can feel that way too. This is not me saying it's bad to be gay. This is me saying corporations push eugenics by telling gay people that they are persecuted. And the only way to solve that persecution is to wear a G-string and a feathered codpiece and go out on Good Morning America and celebrate how persecuted you are. Right? This is the blue check of Larry Johnson, who I complained about. As my tweet is made illegal in Germany, as 18 of my tweets are sent back to me saying these are all illegal in Germany. One of the tweets is me complaining about Larry Johnson, who's a blue check mark, going on another blue check mark show to explain to everybody how brutally suppressed his voice is. And it's the same thing by climbing on a gay pride float in sequined G-string and roller skates, rollerblades, right? Closing down all the streets of Manhattan so we can run you through the pedestal on wheels and explain that you are the most persecuted around. This is a ceremony that should be obvious to anyone. And frankly, if you're gay, you should be more offended than straight people should be. It should be more offensive to you to watch this. I would say that you guys actually should be liking my video for saying it. Because there's no honor on a pedestal. There's no honor in the pit. And we are surrounded by evacuated people. And when you're evacuated, of course sodomy is going to feel good. You're empty. Anything inside you is going to feel good when you're empty. And so I don't blame you. I blame all of us for letting it get out of hand. I blame all of us for thinking we needed a sodomy month. And I blame all of us who say that saying that homosexuality and sodomy are somehow related is wrong. I blame you for that. Because if you don't have enough pride in yourself that you can understand what sodomy is and how that fits in with homosexuality, I don't understand why you're gay. I don't understand how you know you're gay. I don't understand how those two things can fit, and I would rather you just be more comfortable with it. I would rather all of us just be more honest about it. That's my only goal. The more honest we are about what it is we do with our time every day, the better we're going to be. The closer we're going to be to being in truth. And that's once we have truth, once we have the shadows of truth cast on the ground where everybody can see it. It's not like everyone has to say the truth, but once it can be cast on the ground where all of us can see the shadows, all of us learn in silence. Why? Because we learn by reflection. We watch what others do, and we compare that to what we do, which is actually a good skill. It's a good tool. But what we're watching each other do is degrading. I'm sorry, let me explain what I mean. What we're watching each other do on television is becoming more and more degrading. What we're seeing in the media happen around us, within our communities and our leaders, is lowering that bar as fast as it can. It is a race to the bottom, right? The pit is the king. Whoever's in the pit, the lowest, gets to be king. And this is a nation of digging. All of us are digging. We're making that pit as deep as we can so we can win. At least that's how standard America is. That's how this world that you and me are living somehow amongst, that's what it is right now. And it's changing dramatically. It's freaking fabulous. It's changing so fast. I just realized I forgot to turn on the hotkeys for my slideshow. Forgive me now while I scroll here to turn these on. What Talia saw is the same as what's been going on in other cities. You guys know this. all of us are seeing spontaneous. They're all starting at the same time on the same day for the same reason. And these same things have been around all over other countries. Yellow Vest was installed. I don't know if you guys could tell that, but Yellow Vest was installed. And just like Yellow Vest being installed, so too is that same action being installed here. James, why you care about physical reproduction, giving birth to babies of other people? Why do I care about whether or not we should have families? It's a stupid fucking question. Holmut, why do you not care about physical reproduction among other people? Why do you think that it's not important that we ever discuss reproduction among other people or what a nuclear family is? What exactly is the problem with wanting to talk about that whole mountain? Can you answer that, please? Because otherwise, that's a pretty stupid thing to say. Is this where we want to go? Do we want to go back to where, no, we should argue the merits of sodomy? Is that what, do you want to have that discussion where we argue the merits of sodomy? Or even better, we argue why, James, why do you even want to talk about sodomy? James, why do you feel it's necessary to discuss a float running down Broad Street in New York City with a guy in a codpiece and feathers in a G-string? James, why is it that you want to discuss that? That's really concerning to me. I don't know. Hey, can someone help me? I don't understand why James would think that that's a topic we should discuss. I mean, come on. Isn't sodomy on top of a parade float going down Broad Street? Isn't that really just their business? I mean, aren't we wrong to be coming in and going, oh, hey, why are you doing this? What the fuck is wrong with you? This is how fucked up it is. You know, the guy that went after me yesterday, you can see his comments, he didn't really go after me. It was just, he did it, and I was like, all right, that's fucked up. I'll just block this guy. And then he's like, oh, you blocking me proves that you secretly want my lifestyle. The lifestyle that I'm cursing you for pointing out is actually sodomy. Oh, my God. Is this where it's going? Are we going to reduce ourselves to Rocky Roberts, who spends every day squirting over how much he hates me in chat? And then he goes back after the live stream. Rocky Roberts goes back in and leaves comments, like 6 or 7 comments, about how gay I am, about how terrible I am. But every day he's back in chat going, oh, what am I going to hate on him today? It's the same thing with the guy yesterday who was like, James, it's really suspicious that you're going to sit here and admonish sodomy on a parade float sponsored by Delta Airlines. I clearly that shows me that you have some deep secrets and deep hatred that you're in. I don't have deep secrets because I don't think that sodomy is something that's even like tainted as much as our pretending. To me, what's tainted is walking around pretending that Gay Pride Month has nothing to do with sodomy. That's what offends me. That's the part that's so fucked up, is that somehow we can all be LGBT and never, ever have gay sex. Can someone explain to me how the fuck that works? Can someone explain to me how by participating in sodomy, you're somehow magically not gay, and by not participating in sodomy, you somehow are gay? Mr. Rocky Roberts, can you tell us and explain how me saying that means that somehow I'm gay and you're not a dildo holster? Can you explain that to us, Rocky? Because I do not understand the logic there. Thanks for the super chat, Al. Just for being you and bringing up very needed topics and questions. Thank you for asking the whys. Thank you for thanking me for that. In my blueprints of mind control, I probably got about 5 0 ratings on Amazon where people would like, put a rating and say 0. And then in the paragraph, they would explain it was about the sodomy thing somehow. And what was funny about it is that in Amazon, if someone leaves a review and it looks like a personal attack, you can just hit like report, and then someone will actually read it. And all 5 of those were rejected, which is hard to do on Amazon. It's hard to do. But I knew the moment I wrote that article, The Eugenics of LGBT, I knew the moment that someone set my book on fire, I knew I was telling the truth. Friends, people do not set your book on fire because you say something that made them mad. I know it seems like that, but that's actually not how it works. The reason why Randy set my book on fire is because I told him the fucking truth. That's why he freaked out. I said it with such a clarity, it rang like such a freaking bell, that it drove him to go outside, pour lighter fluid over my book, set it on fire while filming it. You don't do that if someone says something stupid. You don't do that if someone says something that makes you mad. You do that if someone shakes the fucking core of you with truth. So when I see Sodomy Month come up, I see it as a personal responsibility to ring the fucking bell again. Every time. And every time one of the Rocky Roberts comes in and pulls his dildo out of his mouth long enough so he can type and tell me how stupid I am, day after day after day, when all he's doing is giving me numbers, right? All he's doing is adding to my chat numbers and my response numbers. All I see is, keep going. Keep going, James. That's what I see. There's nothing wrong with being gay. There's nothing wrong with it. Each of us. There's nothing wrong with being atheist. There's nothing wrong with believing in vaccines. There's nothing wrong with doing anything that you can do in this world. If you can do something in this world and you're not breaking natural law with someone else, it is a learning experience. And I believe in the gifts of Baal. I believe that the thing that brings people most to God is atheism. I believe just like a parent, just like a child has to tell a parent, hey, I need to grow up, so I'm going to have to rebel against you. So everything that you say, Mom, I'm going to say is bullshit. And Dad, fuck you. No matter what you tell me, I'm not going to do it, right? That is how a child learns to become an adult. He rebels. That's why no one pays attention to anyone who's like 19. You understand what 19 comes with, right? You understand that if you're 19 years old, there's just a certain large chunk of experience that's missing. It's just, this is as far as you can go. You're still inverted. Why? Because we sent you to public school. And you learn how to decide that your morality was based on how everyone else felt about you. And that the moment you had a Dick Holster Robert, what was his name again? Robert, sorry, I'm trying to be more polite. I don't mean to call you a dildo holster that's covered in poo. That was rude. Or to imply that you're a dildo typing on a keyboard every morning. Trying to find, I think people threw all your comments out. If you're inverted, comments like this mean the world to you. Because you're like, does everybody like me? Does everybody like me? Does everybody in the sodomy tank, in the sodomy spa like me? And then you become something different. You evacuate yourself. And when you're evacuated, you need someone to stuff something in you so you can feel whole again. happens with women and men too, doesn't it? Sex addicts? Yes? All of this. I'm listening to James in the shower, totally not gay. Depends. Put the speaker down to your genitals, and I'm gonna hum. If you did that, that might be gay. That might be gay. When you spiral out of the spiritual realm, you dive into materialism and you find atheism there. And people think that atheism is all just bad, that it's just a dark, dark world. But actually, atheism is privacy from God. Atheism gives you this closet that you can climb into and do things. And you will prove that you have privacy from God by creating a cosmology that makes you feel private. And it's important to look at this. This is not everyone else has been trying to convince you that you're atheist. It's not that a bunch of Jesuits are like, let's convince everyone they're atheist. I know it looks that way. But it also looks like Trump came in who really, really wanted to build a wall. And that's not the case. Trump came in and said, if I tell them I'll build a wall, they might follow me. What happens? Hey, I'll build a wall. Holy shit, there's a lot of people here. And that's what atheism is. And it's important. Let me explain. One wants to find themselves. And in order to find themselves, one needs to be outside of the shadow of God in their mind. And the furthest away you can get from God is to create a world where you live in a endless vacuum that bends sound and light itself. Something that's so cold that it causes your eyeballs to shatter and your blood to boil. Something that's shrinking so fast inside an effervescent bang that's expanding even faster that not only is there no hope, but there's no room for even the imagination that you could have had an inkling of a start to hope to begin with. You are in an explosion, inside of an explosion, and you're shrinking. And no sound will ever reach outside this solar system because it's just expanding too fast. It's bloating so bad. And how do you feel? How does the atheist feel? He feels alone. He feels like he has privacy. He feels like he or she can contemplate the world from a position of lonely. You find yourself in a festival called Insane Clown Posse. You just found yourself there. Don't ask questions. You are surrounded by people that are wearing Insane Clown Posse makeup. You were looking on stage at people wearing Insane Clown Posse makeup and masks because they believe in COVID. They're screaming in the microphone. That is the world. That is you being born in the world. And you're looking around, and some of you said, I can't fucking handle this place. I need to figure out which way's up. And you step outside of the mosh pit. And you walk up on the terrace, you walk up on the grassy hill, and you start to get a better idea. You are on the mount now. You were on the grassy knoll on the mount, and you are watching the madness below you. And you still hear the sound, but you see the crazy. You're not out yet. You keep going. You walk into the forest. And in the forest, the sun's blocked out. It gets darker and darker. But you could still hear. You could still hear the cars drive by. So you go deeper. You find a giant pile of leaves. You find a cave underneath those leaves. You dig the leaves of the ground. You crawl into the cave. Now you don't even see the sun. All you hear are bats, crickets, sounds of drops from stalactites dripping on stalagmites. And you go deeper in that cave. You get wet, muddy, you get cold. You find as far away as you can to go, and then you discover things that you never knew. You discover that what you really liked about the Insane Clown Posse was all the sunlight, all the sunshine. You started to notice that you didn't like the music, you didn't like all the people in the mosh pit, but you liked the fact that people were together. You discover what you like and what you don't like about the world by stepping away from it. It's the only way you get there. And all you fucks who were like, you're just evil because you talk about ball and the gifts of ball. You're missing the biggest gift of ball is atheism. Nothing brings more people to God than atheism. There's not a fucking thing that brings more people to God than atheism. If you were born into that, where you never needed atheism, I'm here to tell you, you are not as faithful. You are not as committed. You have not experienced the limits of being without God, which means you do not have the gift of ball to understand what being with God truly means. So when you hear me complaining about Pride Month, I am making it fucking expensive. I'm not trying to stop it. I am making it expensive. That's my only goal. I want to make it expensive. Because the more expensive it is, the sooner you're going to come back. The sooner all of us are going to come back. And we're going to break this illusion that being selfless is kind. That being selfless is the nice thing to do. Because when you're selfless, you end up with masks on. When you're selfless, you end up laying down on your belly like these people are in this photograph, pretending to be George Floyd, with their arms behind their back, while the media takes pictures of how unracist they are. These people are Ralphie on The Simpsons. Do you know what they're saying? I'm helping. They're showing each other, look how my whiteness is excusable because I'm laying down on my belly and my mouth is covered. Look how my whiteness isn't so bad anymore. This is Hong Kong. This is what's coming. When I say that is, people aren't wearing masks here I'm sorry. The masks that they're wearing have a completely different meaning to them. Did you realize that in Korea they had to have the Supreme Court make it unconstitutional to ban masks? It's a civil right now. My friends, it's a civil right now to wear a mask. They've been doing this longer. They've got it painted as a civil right now. This is why I push so hard on masks. It's funny, I don't have people wearing masks going, secretly, you're a mask lover. You're a secret mask lover because you're telling everyone how dumb masks are. That's what these dumbasses say about Sodomy Month. Well, because you're complaining about Sodomy Month, you're a sodomite. It's like, okay. Fucking brilliant logic, dude. This is going to be us soon. People are going to be fighting for the right to wear a mask. And it's not your fault. Guys, we were born in an Insane Clown Posse concert. Some of you, if you like Insane Clown Posse, I'm sorry. But I've never actually listened to their music, but damn. I just have this notion of what it probably is like. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I feel like there's a lot of like urination happening. Maybe that's a total bad guess. It just feels like there's like a lot of urination happening there. Maybe I'm being the bigot. I don't know. But we've created this fetish for masks, and we are too far behind to see that this is a constitutional right in other countries. This is a civil right. And now we're bringing peace through violence. We're bringing peace through violence. We're saying that I am anonymous, which means I matter. And we're covering our faces because the government told us to. Well, we complain to the government about how awful they are and how they can't be trusted. Do you know what that is? That's like the dude Robert, or what was the other guy who I think he finally replied. Anyway, Robert Roberts. It's that's what that is. It's inversion. This is inversion. This is the sodomite burning my book because I told him what sodomy was. Black lives matter more than white feelings is what she has on her mask. His life matters so much that he's wearing a fucking muzzle. This guy's wearing a muzzle to tell you. This is inversion. This is inversion. This is deep, deep, deep inversion, my friends. You've pulled ourselves inside out. And I can prove it because yesterday we have an entire month dedicated to sodomy. And no one here has said, that's not true, James. There's no such thing as a National Sodomy Month. Nobody has typed that. Nobody typed it last year either. And that proves it. You got white people telling you how important black lives are. While they're telling you, I can't understand what it's like to be black. This is germ theory. You are looking at germ theory. White germ theory. That's what causes this. And how do you get that? Because you believe that you're sin. You believe that the pain is inside you. You believe that the evil is you. That you were born intrinsically evil. That sin is not an action. It's a DNA trait. And it's fashionable. Look at how fashionable that is. Oh my God, she's so caring. No one is more compassionate about black people than a white girl wearing a mask, covering her face, that says, I can't breathe. And we're buying it. We're laying down for it. We're sticking our asses up in the air on National Sodomy Month. Tell everybody how bad we are. And I'm the guy that's fucked up for pointing it out. Right? Because of the insane clown posse. Friends, no lives matter. No lives matter. You don't want your life to matter. You do not want your life to matter. I've seen self-help gurus do this, where they tell you, let me show you your divine purpose. That comes with a subterranean belief that you need a divine purpose. It comes with a subterranean belief that you need to matter. You guys are so much more than matter. Matter is any substance with mass taking up space. That's what matter means. If you want to matter, you have to take up space. You have to be made of mass and take up space. You have to be materialist. You have to be made out of metal balls. You cannot be feelings. You have to be mass. You just have to take up space. How does it feel to take up space? Because that's what they're telling you. They're telling you a few things, right? They're telling you, you need to matter. Then they've told you, well, black lives, those matter. So now you're competing to even matter. You're competing to even be materialistic. You're competing to be as material, as matter, as black people are. So you've created racial division. You've created a sucking chest wound where you've emptied yourself out. And you've said you are more emptied than black people are. That's what all this means. And if you complain about Black Lives Matter, what's going to happen? You're going to face the calories of pushing back against the insane clown posse. And you're going to face them because you're a fucking badass. Because you're going to make it expensive. Because all of us are. And because we're making it expensive, we have created the best apocalypse ever. And it is happening all around us. And even though the yellow vests are coming, and they are, we're still showing the truth. The life that matters is a life that does something. What you do matters. Okay? Your mass, the amount of space that you occupy, that does not matter. All right? What you do with your life, that's what matters. And if you focus on that, everybody's going to be great. Everybody's going to be fantastic if you focus on that. If you don't focus on that, you're going to feel like that you have to matter without doing anything. You're going to have to feel like that, well, no, if you just lie down, that you will matter. And you won't. If you're going to wear a mask and wait in the post office line and not go into the door because you don't want there to only be 2 people around, you're not going to matter. People are going to walk right past you and ignore you because you're not mattering. If you mattered, you'd be in line. If you mattered, you'd be wanting to conduct your business at the post office. Spirit is life. Spirit is verb. Be verbs. Don't be nouns. Noun is materialism. Spirit is verb. Particle wave. Right? Do something with your life. What you do will matter to you. What you do will matter to those you touch. Then you're mattering. Until you do something, you don't matter. If you're going to sit there and compare your melanin to people, you don't matter. If you're going to buy into these tales that sodomy has nothing at all to do with Gay Pride Month, you don't matter. All you can do is burn books. All you can do is come into chat every morning like Robert. Like, seriously, for like weeks. It's been like weeks. There, he comes into chat and he waits to snipe. And then after that, he comes in and he leaves about 5 or 6 messages on the video after. He spends all day squirting over how much he hates me. That's how much he matters. It's not about his whiteness. It's not about his genitals. It's about what he does. What do you do with your day? What do you do with your time? That's what's going to matter. It's going to matter to everyone around you. And until we get through that head, we are going to be locked in this idea that selfless, right, is the way to be. That you have to be selfless in this world. That selfish is bad. And as one of the bears eloquently said today, I'm sorry, I probably don't have it like pulled up right here, but one of the bears just freaking knocked it out of the park today when he said, wouldn't it be great? Sorry, I was hoping I could find it. Where he said, wouldn't it be great if instead of us trying to focus on everyone else, we focused on ourselves? And because you live in an insane clown posse mosh pit, when you first hear that, it's going to be like, oh, is that okay? Wouldn't it be great if instead of focusing on everyone else, we focused on ourselves? Is actually the most kind, compassionate thing you could possibly do. Because you're becoming the antithesis of selfless. You're becoming self-full. We don't have a word for self-full, do we? We have a word for selfish. But we don't have a word for self-full. I had to invent that word this morning. I got a certificate back here. That's a joke. Self-full. We don't even have a word for that. Because we're trying to raise sodomites. Why? Because some of us need a fall that's big enough to find our way back. Some of us need to get so far away from God that it might... Some of us need to get so far away from God. I'll just say that. Some of us need to get really far away from God. And who am I to judge? Who are any of us to judge? Hey, why did you have to get that far away to come back to God, right? This is natural law. We understand this. But when we live in a world where we've decided that there are commandments, all natural law goes away. Do you realize natural law says that property is where you stand? You can ask any animal in the world. If a blue jay is standing on the bird feeder, the squirrel will not jump on there. If the squirrel's on the bird feeder, the blue jay will not jump on there. There's a natural law that's built into all systems. But when you replace it with commandment, when you replace it with government, all that natural law is gone. It becomes erased. It becomes invisible. No, James, people understand. No, they don't. They really don't. Because if you say these are the 10 commandments, there's no 11. There's not like the 5 that were implied before it about natural law. No. If they're not listed, they're not listed. I'm here to tell you that the reason why we have commandments is so we can learn to find our own moral code again. It's so we can learn to lie to ourselves enough to where we're like, I'm going to stop lying to myself so much. All of these are gifts of Baal. All of these are lessons. All of these are how we find better understandings of who we are. All of this is lessons where we find out why people like Rocky, the Robert guy, will worship someone like me. Even though they participate and disagree with everything that I talk about, they worship me. Yeah. I've seen him post from 11 a.m. up until 3 p.m. every day after the stream. And it's not just a post. He'll come in and edit. And he'll come in and edit again. Where you put your time is a form of worship. I realize that sounds really uncomfortable. And so, we can take it down a notch and say where we put our time is what we revere. Okay? If you'd rather say that. No matter if we hate something or love something, if we're giving it our time, we are sacrificing our essence to it. And if you cannot see that sacrificing your essence to something is similar to worship, you should see that. I'll just say that. You should see that those are actually the same. Everything we do is an action, and those matter. All of them. Not just what we do on Sunday from 11 a.m. till 12, right? If you leave the house of God, you're still worshiping. All of it. And that's why atheists need to say there's no God. They need to experiment with godlessness. And that's okay. Why is it okay? Because we are living inside a dojo that's built for this activity. All of this has been built for us to make these decisions, to burn what books we need to burn, to sodomize what other people we need to sodomize, to rebuke God as deeply as we need to rebuke him, to fall for the biggest lies we could possibly imagine, all so we can find the truth again. Because falsity is a gift of freaking Baal, and I cannot get that through about 5% of you's heads. Because you get so mad. You're like, no, what about consent? What about that you're letting all the bad guys off? What about the fact that you're making fun of gay people? Or what about the fact that it's all, you're missing the point completely. I want there to be massive, insane clown posse here. Because I realize that's what it takes for some of you guys. It took a lot for me to find some truth. Holy shit, you should have seen my marriage. You should have seen how far I pushed myself away from God to try and save that thing. And it would have ruined my entire life if someone would have came in when I was 75% through and said, that's enough. That's enough, James. It's one thing I learned about my mom is that she was watching me go through that. And all she could do is just be really quiet. And it made me feel even more alone. It wasn't until I got out of it that I understood. And she said that one of the first times she met my wife. She said this. I'm going to see if I can do it with her face. She said this. It was no words, because you can communicate with no words. She said, I just want you to be happy. That's what she said. And the whole time she's like watching me going, fuck, that guy's going to burn. My son's going to burn. But she knew it was my soccer field. She knew that was my game. It was my ball. If I'm going to kick it in my own goal or whatever, I'm going to do it. It's a gift of ball on Dojo Earth. Thank you for the super chat. Love your truth, James. Thanks from Australia. Thanks, Melzization. I'm still having trouble with zeteticist. It's funny you mentioned that Rocky is a woman, Nicole, because the person that burned my book last year did it under the pseudonym of a woman, even though he was a man. It's pretty weird. So, we've seen what our brethren are doing. We've seen what our brothers are willing to do. But I think we're forgetting, and we've seen that this is all across the world. I hate to bring up his name again, but I've shown you guys details about Steve Bannon's job as a global populist instigator that's working on international movements to create more democracy. The author of QAnon has been focused on this, and it's why when you look at the Hong Kong riots, you saw that everyone was wearing MAGA hats and begging for Trump. Remember the Mount Meru flag I showed you that still had creases in it? Those exact same people were in Hong Kong. They're in Korea saying it's a civil right to wear masks. All of our leaders are telling you to wear masks. The Vatican. Some people said, oh, the Pope's been really good on this. No, he hasn't. Shut the fuck up. No, he hasn't. You can't walk into to mass without greeting one of these guys. Don't tell me that no, the Pope's good. He hasn't been good in this. Just because the Pope doesn't wear a mask doesn't mean that everyone who's going to come in and go to church doesn't have to. This is a global psyop. You're looking at a global psyop. And it's been happening for years. It's been happening before it happened in America. It happened in China first. That's why they get to make the masks. Look at this shitbag. This is inside the Vatican. So don't tell me the Pope's clean. This is going into the Basilica. I'm not talking about going into the gift shop. I'm talking about the Basilica. This is China. This is Korea. This is a school. If you can't see this, it's a bunch of school kids on masks. If you can't see the one before it, it's dudes out in the street spraying COVID pesticide, whatever. Here's Mitch McConnell and dude, forget his name, Kane, elbow bumping while they're wearing rubber gloves inside the Senate hearing room. This is the freaking media. These are the pinnacles of free speech. These are the people that are fighting for the bastions of truth, and every one of them is wearing a mask, begging with their hand up to please be called on so I can ask the president a question that's been pre-approved by the network that gave me this job. These are your leaders. Believe it or not, the press, that's as close as you have to a leader, is the press. And every one of them, not one of them would have Dr. Kaufman on. Not one of them ever said, hey, I wonder what an exosome is. Not one of them ever said, hey, guess what? It's sodomy month. This is your leaders. Sorry for getting heated. But these are your leaders. And they are emptier than you are. Or than you've been, I should say. Sorry. Kind of heated. This is the United Nations. Every one of them wearing a mask. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Every one of them. Not one of them says, hey, World Health Organization, what the fuck's an exosome? Not one. Here's the Senate House. U.S. House, House of Representatives, right? It's Let's see, there's douchebag, double douchebag, Israeli douchebag, Zionist, and shill. This left to right. I was reading that. Left to right. Not one of them has said, hey, what's up with 9/11? This is who's in charge of you. I'm sorry. God. I don't like covering DC because I keep forgetting. This is the people that are telling you they're in charge of you. Forgive me, people. This is the people that are telling you they're in charge of you. Freaking douches. Cops are in on it. Politicians are in on it. Son-in-laws are in on it. The Vatican's in on it. They're like, yeah, we're in on it. The people who commit sodomy are in on it. The people who drop off bricks are in on it. I told you yesterday how profitable it would be if you're a big box corporation, not a small corporation, but if you're a big box corporation, to have your entire inventory in store destroyed by riot. Black Lives Matter is not even run by black people. If you follow me on Facebook or Twitter, I posted that video that proves it. I'm going to say that again. Black Lives Matter is not even run by black people. And if you'd like to burn my book, please buy it first, because I said that. I've got a great chapter on racism. I say the same thing as I've always said. Black Lives Matter is not run by black people. The NAACP, the leader of the NAACP, was a white woman pretending to be a black woman. If you're going to lay down on your belly and put your hands behind your back and wear a mask, you are not helping black people. And when you go up to one of these people and you say, dude, are you really helping black people? They're going to turn to you and say, you're not a BLM white like I am, so you don't know what it's like. See, I'm a special kind of white. I'm a Black Lives Matter white. And because I'm a Black Lives Matter white, I'm more oppressed than you are. And I'm able to see truth more than you are. That is insane clown posse begging for sodomy. Begging for someone like Robert to come up and tell them how bad they are. And then punish them with sodomy for it. That's the insane clown posse that we're surrounded by. And the best apocalypse ever is that it's all out in the open. And you guys are going to be okay because you're getting out of the city. You're realizing that Babylon is not going to feed you. And you're finding other ways to survive. And right now, I told someone this last night. Right now, it's so crucial that you follow your dreams. Right now, guys. Right now. Today. Follow your passion. And if you don't know what your passion is, shake yourself in the mirror until you find your passion. Shake yourself in the mirror and cry for yourself because you're living in a world and you don't have passion. And so guess wrong. Find the first thing that comes to your mind and see if it's your passion. And how do you know? Try it. Do that right now, guys. Don't wait till fall. Don't wait till winter. All the magic is intrinsically around you right now. Guys, 3 months ago, no one was listening to me. No one was reading my stuff. Right now is the time for massive changes inside your life. Good changes. But you can't be inverted, which means in the middle of an insane clown posse, you're going to want silence. You're going to want to turn away from that. That's Babylon. And it's a blessing that it's showing you itself with makeup on its face. It's so beautiful that it's showing it. It's so obvious right now. Robert doesn't stand a chance, right? He left the chat. He couldn't put up with this shit. Neither could that other guy. Neither could the guy yesterday. The truth is just too bright. It just burns their eyes too much. and they can't handle it. They can't handle walking into a room where everyone's a freaking moderator. Some of you I haven't given wrenches yet. It's nothing personal. Some of you I took your wrench away and it was totally personal. Some of you just don't have wrenches and you deserve one. This is all an insane clown posse. Right now is so crucial that you find what your passion is and do it right now. Do it. Push towards it right now. Guys, the economy is not what you think it is. It's on props right now. It's on stilts. What you're holding on to, most of it is sand. I'm talking about the Babylon stuff. You know this. Most of it's sand. If you use your passion right now, and if you're not inverted, you're going to find the deepest truth you ever thought possible. It will put you in shock, the flavor of it as being so potent. Right now is the time to do that, guys. Carpe matter. Carpe the verb of who you are, right? All your dreams are verbs. I promise you. None of them are nouns. I know what you think you want is gold, but what you really want is freedom. I know that you think that you want sex, but what you really want is passion. I know that what you think you want is food, but what you really want is sovereignty. Be a verb. There is no emptiness in verbs. There's no lack in verb. Be an action. Change from particle to wave. It'll be the best thing you did, especially if you do it now. Because there's a vortex. All the energy's up. All the energy's waiting. And all the cowards, their hope and their potential, that's the energy that's up for grabs. Is the hope of being frozen. You guys, I want to end the show right now. I want to thank you for being here. I hope that what I've said rings true. Sodomites, keep having sodomy. Atheists, keep being atheist. Crushers, keep crushing. Everyone, just follow your passion, man. Even if it means you need to go out on the street right now and throw some bricks in. If you need to look at yourself in the mirror that night when you get home. You know, when I was in Kansas City, Missouri, I went to a library and I was very anti-establishment then. And I went into a library and I checked out the book Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. And it was a hardcover, one of the few hardcovers you could find, really small book. And I decided I'm going to keep that book because the world owed it to me. And because I'm a poet wannabe, so I get to steal this book from the library and fuck them, blah, 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 because the system's bad. And I am 28 years past that day. And I still feel bad for that. I gave that book away. I couldn't go all the way back to Kansas City, but I gave that book away. I gave it to someone. And I told them when they give it, I have to give this away because this was just wrong. It was just wrong. And I knew that if I gave it to someone else, there's a cleansing that happens when you do stuff like that. You guys do that too. I'm so glad that I have an insane clown posse world that I can do that. That I can make that mistake. And then I can feel it 28 years later. I remember that 28 years later. And I can tell you about it. And certainly there's things that are worse that I've done. There are things that I've done that I will not tell you, that I'm just too ashamed of. So please don't hear that as me saying, oh, that's the worst thing I've ever done. But every one of those things is with me all the time, man. It's just like you. Just like you. Thanks, Love Bear, for the super chat. Just like you. Everything bad that you've done is on your shoulder right now because you wanted it to be. Because you're like, hey, can you stay right here? Can you stay right here? I need to remember that I did that. Why? Because you're not inverted. That's why. Because you're not inverted, you're willing to have that. Those talons in your shoulder going, remember that time you stole Walt Whitman's book? It's just like, yeah, I cannot. I want sovereignty, but this vigilance thing means it's going to have to be here all the time. And I really hope that I can be good all the time. That's where all the calories are. It's one thing to do a plank for 3 minutes. Can you do it for the rest of your life, right? As Catherine Hopkins says, follow your passion right now. Do it. This is the summer to do it. This is the summer to do it. Thank you so much, R. Smith. That's very generous. Thank you all for these super chats. Really, really appreciate it. It's going to be colossal 2020, guys. Seriously. It already is. When you demo a room to remodel, the day after you demo, you walk in and you're like, fuck. Oh, God. What have I done? Stay positive. Stay focused on the blueprint. Stay focused on what your vision was. Think about what this could be if we all took off the makeup and stopped this insane clown posse and broke out in volleyball or whatever the hell else we want to do, right? Do it, guys. Do it. Last thing, tomorrow, please come. Tomorrow after the show, I'll announce it in the morning, but tomorrow evening we are having a campfire stream. And Benjamin Balderson's going to join us. Others are going to join us too. It's going to be a really cool event. It's going to be maybe 7:30 Eastern time, between 7 and 8. We've got someone tending a fire. It'll be pretty sweet. I hope you guys can come to see. Thank you, Simon33, for your compassion. Thank you guys for listening. You guys have a great day. Be a verb. It's a good time to be a verb.